Psalm 43. For the end, for instruction to the sons of Korah. O God, with our ears have we heard, for our fathers have told us the work which thou hadst wrought in their days, in the days of old. Thy hand utterly destroyed the heathen, and in their stead thou didst plant them. Thou didst bring evils upon those peoples, and didst cast them out. For not by their own sword did they inherit the land, nor did their own arm save them. But thy right hand, and thine arm, and the light of thy countenance, because thou wast well pleased in them. Thou thyself art my King and my God, thou that commandest the salvation of Jacob. Through thee shall the horn of our strength push down our enemies, and through thy name shall we bring to naught them that rise up against us. For not in my bow will I hope, and my sword shall not save me. For thou hast saved us from them that afflict us, and them that hate us hast thou put to shame. In God we will boast all the day long, and in thy name will we give praise in the age to come. But now thou hast cast us off, and put us to shame, and wilt not go forth, O God, with our hosts. Thou hast made us to turn back before our enemies, and they that hate us took spoils for themselves. Thou hast given us up as sheep to be eaten, and among the nations hast thou scattered us. Thou hast sold thy people without a price, and there was no gain in the selling of us. Thou hast made us a reproach to our neighbors, a scorn and derision to them that are round about us. Thou hast made us a byword among the nations, a shaking of head among the peoples. All the day long my disgrace is before me, and the shame of my face hath covered me. Because of the voice of him that reproacheth and revelleth, because of the face of the enemy and pursuer, all this hath come upon us, and we have not forgotten thee, nor have we dealt unrighteously in thy covenant. Though our heart hath not turned back, yet thou hast turned aside our paths from thy ways. For thou hast humbled us in a place of affliction, and the shadow of death hath covered us. If we have forgotten the name of our God, and if we have stretched out our hands to a strange God, shall not God search out these things? For he knoweth the secrets of the heart. For thy sake we are slain all the day long, we are counted as sheep for the slaughter. Rise up, why sleepest thou, O Lord? Arise, and cast us not off at the end. Wherefore turnest thou thy face away? Dost thou forget our poverty and our affliction? For our soul hath been humbled down to the dust, our belly hath cleaved to the earth. Arise, O Lord, help us, and redeem us for thy name's sake. Psalm 77. Concerning instruction. For Asaph, give heed, O my people, to my law. Incline your ear unto the words of my mouth. I will open my mouth in parables. I will utter dark sayings which have been from the beginning. Even those things that we have heard and have known, and which our fathers have told us. They were not hid from their children in another generation. They declared the praises of the Lord and his mighty acts and his wonders which he wrought. And he raised up a testimony in Jacob and appointed a law in Israel. Even those things he had commanded our fathers, to make the same known unto their children, that another generation might know. Even the sons about to be born, that they in turn might arise and declare them unto their sons. That they might set their hope in God, and not forget the works of God, but seek after his commandments. That they might not be as their fathers, a generation perverse and provoking, a generation that set not their heart aright, and which kept not their spirit steadfast with God. The sons of Ephraim that bend and shoot with bows turned back in the day of battle. They kept not the covenant of God, and in his law they were not fain to walk. They forgot his benefits and his wonders that he had showed to them, even the wonders that he had showed to them, even the wonders he had done in the sight of their fathers, in the land of Egypt, and in the plains of Tanis. He divided the sea, and brought them through. He made the waters to stand as in a wineskin. He guided them with a cloud by day, and all the night with a light of fire. He divided the rock in the wilderness, and gave them to drink as in a great deep. He led forth water out of the rock, and brought down waters like rivers. And they added yet more sin against him. They embittered the Most High in the waterless place. And they made trial of God in their hearts, by asking food for their souls. And they spake against God, and they said, Cannot God prepare a table in the wilderness? Because he smote a rock, and waters streamed forth, and the torrents overflowed. Cannot he give bread also, or prepare a table for his people? Wherefore, the Lord heard and was stirred up, and a fire was kindled in Jacob, and wrath rose up against Israel. Because they believed not in God, nor hoped in his salvation. And he commanded the clouds from above, and opened the doors of heaven, and rained manna on them to eat, and bread of heaven did he give unto them. Man ate the bread of angels, provision he sent them to the full. He removed the south wind from heaven, and brought in by his might the southwest wind. And he rained on them flesh as it were dust, and feathered birds like the sands of the sea, which fell in the midst of their camp, round about their tents. And they ate, and were filled exceedingly, and their desire did he give unto them. nor were they deprived of their desire. But while their food was yet in their mouth, the wrath of God rose up against them. And he slew their stout ones, and shackled the choice men of Israel. In all these things they sinned the more, and believed not in his wonders. And their days were consumed in vanity, and their years with haste. When he slew them, then they sought after him, and they turned back and inquired early after God. And they remembered that God is their helper, and that God the Most High is their Redeemer. And they loved him with their mouth, and with their tongue they lied to him. For their heart was not right with him, nor were they faithful in his covenant. But he is compassionate, and will be gracious unto their sins, and he will not destroy. And many a time will he turn his anger away, and will not kindle all his wrath. And he remembered that they are but flesh, breath which passeth away, and cometh not back again. How often did they embitter him in the wilderness, and move him to wrath in the waterless land? They turned back and made trial of God, and provoked the Holy One of Israel. They remembered not his hand, nor the day wherein he redeemed them from the hand of the oppressor. How he had wrought in Egypt his signs, and his marvels in the plain of Tanis. Yeah, he had turned into blood their rivers and their rainfalls, that they might not drink. He had sent against them the dogfly, and it devoured them, and the frog, and it destroyed them. And he had given to the cankerworm their fruits, and their labors to the locust. And he destroyed with hail their vine, and their mulberry trees with frost. And he had given over to the hail their cattle, and their substance to the fire. And he sent forth against them the wrath of his anger and wrath and affliction, a mission performed by evil angels. He had made a path for his wrath, and he spared not from death their souls, and their cattle he shut up in death. And he had smitten every firstborn in the land of Egypt, the firstlings of all their labor, in the tabernacles of Ham. And he took away his people as sheep, and he led them forth as a flock in the wilderness. And he guided them in hope, and they feared not, and the sea covered up their enemies. And he brought them unto the mountain of his sanctuary, this mountain which his right hand had gained as a possession. He cast out the heathen from before their face, and apportioned them an inheritance by lot. And he settled in their tents the tribes of Israel. But they tempted and embittered God the Most High, and his testimonies they did not keep. And they turned back and brake covenant, even as their fathers did. They became like unto a crooked bow. And they provoked him to wrath among their hills, and with their graven images they moved him to jealousy. God heard and regarded them no more, and set Israel utterly at naught. And he rejected his dwelling at Siloam, his dwelling where he had dwelled among men. And he gave over to captivity their strength, and their beauty into the hands of enemies. And with a sword he enclosed his people, and his inheritance did he regard no more. Fire consumed their young men, and their virgins lamented not. Their priests fell by the sword, and none shall weep for their widows. And the Lord awoke as one that sleepeth, like a mighty man grown cloy with wine. And he smote his enemies upon their backs, reproach everlasting he gave to them. And he rejected the dwelling of Joseph, and he chose not the tribe of Ephraim. And he chose the tribe of Judah, Mount Shion which he loved. And he built his sanctuary like that of a unicorn. On the earth he established it forever. And he chose out David his servant, and took him up from the flocks of sheep. From following the ewes great with young he took him. To shepherd Jacob his servant, and Israel his inheritance. And he did shepherd them in the innocence of his heart, and by the skillfulness of his hands he guided them. Psalm 88. Concerning instruction, for Etham the Israelite. Of thy mercies, O Lord, will I sing forever. Unto generation and generation will I declare thy truth with my mouth. For thou hast said, mercy shall be built up forever. In the heavens shall thy truth be established. I have made a covenant with my chosen ones. I have sworn unto David my servant. I will establish thy seed until eternity, and build up thy throne unto generation and generation. The heavens shall confess thy wonders, O Lord, and thy truth in the congregation of saints. 6 For who in the clouds shall be compared unto the Lord? And who shall be likened to the Lord among the sons of God? God who is glorified in the council of the saints is great and terrible towards all that are round about him. O Lord God of hosts, who is like unto thee? Mighty art thou, O Lord, and thy truth is round about thee. Thou art sovereign over the strength of the sea, and the tumult of her waves thou makest calm. Thou hast brought the proud man low as the corpse of one slain, and with the arm of thy power hast thou scattered thine enemies. Thine are the heavens, and thine is the earth, the world and the fullness thereof hast thou founded. The north and the sea hast thou created. Tabor and Hermon shall rejoice in thy name. Thine is the arm that hath might. Let thy hand be strengthened. Let thy right hand be lifted up on high. Righteousness and judgment are the establishment of thy throne. Mercy and truth shall go before thy face. Blessed is the people that know with jubilation. O Lord, in the light of thy face shall they walk, and in thy name shall they rejoice all the day long. and in thy righteousness shall they be exalted. For the boast of their strength art thou, and in thy good pleasure shall our horn be lifted high. For from the Lord is our defense, yea, from the Holy One of Israel, our King. At that time thou spakest in a vision to thy sons, and thou didst say, I have bestowed help on one that is mighty, I have raised up one chosen out of my people. I have found David my servant, with my holy oil have I anointed him. For my hand shall be unto him an ally, and mine arm shall strengthen him. No advantage shall his enemy have over him, nor shall the son of iniquity avail to hurt him any more. And I will hew down his enemies before his face, and them that hate him shall I put to flight. And my truth and my mercy shall be with him, and in my name shall his horn be lifted high. And I will set his hand in the sea, and his right hand in the rivers. He shall call upon me and shall say, My Father art thou, my God, and the helper of my salvation. And as for me, I will make him my firstborn, higher than the kings of the earth. Forever shall I keep for him my mercy, and my covenant shall be faithful unto him. And I will establish his seed unto ages of ages, and his throne shall be as the days of heaven. If his sons forsake my law, and if they walk not in my judgments, if my statutes they profane, and keep not my commandments, I will visit their iniquities with a rod, and their injustices with scourges. But my mercy will I not disperse away from them, nor will I wrong them in my truth. Nor will I profane my covenant, nor the things that proceed from my lips will I make void. Once have I sworn by my holiness that to David I will not lie. His seed forever shall abide, and his throne shall be as the sun before me, and as the moon that is established forever, and is a faithful witness in the sky. D. Psalm. But thou hast cast off and brought to naught, thou hast been wroth with thine anointed. Thou hast destroyed the covenant of thy servant, thou hast profaned his sanctuary under the earth. Thou hast broken down all his hedges, thou hast made his strongholds to be his terror. All have despoiled him that pass along the way, he is become a reproach unto his neighbors. Thou hast exalted the right hand of them that afflict him, thou hast gladdened all his enemies. Thou hast turned away the help of his sword, and hast not helped him in the battle. Thou hast made an end of his purification, his throne unto the earth hast thou cast down. Thou hast shortened the days of his time, thou hast poured down shame upon him. How long, O Lord, dost thou turn away unto the end? Shall thy wrath burn like fire? Remember what my substance is. Nay, hast thou created all the sons of man in vain? Who is the man that shall live and not see death? Can he deliver his soul out of the hand of Hades? Where are thine ancient mercies, O Lord, which thou swearest unto David in thy truth? Remember, O Lord, the reproach of thy servants, which I have endured in my bosom from many nations. Wherewith thine enemies have reproached, O Lord, wherewith they have reproached the recompense of thine anointed. Blessed is the Lord forever. So be it. So be it. Psalm 104. Alleluia. O give thanks unto the Lord and call upon his name. Declare among the nations his works. Sing unto him and chant unto him. Tell forth all his wonders. Glory in his holy name. Let the heart of them be glad that seek the Lord. Seek ye the Lord, and be strengthened. Seek ye his face at all times. Remember his wonders which he wrought, his marvels, and the judgments of his mouth. Ye that are the seed of Abraham, his servants, ye sons of Jacob, his chosen. He is the Lord our God, and all the earth are his judgments. He hath remembered his covenant unto eternity, the word which he commanded unto 1,000 generations, which he made to Abraham, and his oath to Isaac. And he established it to Jacob for an ordinance, and to Israel for an everlasting covenant, saying, Unto thee will I give the land of Canaan, the portion of your inheritance. When they were few in number, very few, and sojourners therein. And they went from nation to nation, and from one kingdom to another people. He allowed no man to wrong them, and he reproved kings for their sake, saying, Touch not mine anointed ones, and to my prophets do no evil. And he called a famine upon the land, he brake all the staff of bread. He sent a man before them, Joseph was sold for a slave. They humbled his feet with fetters, his life was spent in irons, until his word came to pass. The oracle of the Lord proved him. The king sent and loosed him, even the ruler of the people, and released him. He made him lord of his house, and ruler over all his substance, to instruct his princes as himself, and to teach his elders wisdom. And Israel went into Egypt, and Jacob sojourned in the land of Ham. And he increased his people greatly, and made them stronger than their enemies. He turned their heart to hate his people, to deal craftily with his servants. He sent forth Moses his servant, Aaron whom he had chosen for himself. He said in them the words of his signs and of his marvels in the land of Ham. He sent forth darkness and made it dark, for they were embittered against his words. He turned their waters into blood, and he slew their fish. Their land teemed with frogs, even unto the secret chambers of their kings. 30 He spake, and the dog-fly came, and gnats in all their borders. He gave them hail for rain, flaming fire in their land. And he smote their vines and their fig trees, and brake every tree of their border. He spake, and the locust came, and the caterpillar, and that without number, and devoured all the grass in their land, and devoured all the fruit of their land. And he smote every firstborn of their land, the firstlings of all their labor. And he led them out with silver and gold, and there was not among their tribes one man that was feeble. Egypt was glad when they departed, for fear of them had fallen upon them. He spread out a cloud for a shelter to them, and a fire to give them light by night. They made request, and the quail came, and with the bread of heaven he filled them. He clave the rock, and the waters flowed, in waterless places rivers ran. For he remembered his holy word which he spake unto Abraham his servant. And he led forth his people with rejoicing, and his chosen ones with gladness. And he gave unto them the lands of the heathen, and the labors of peoples they inherited, that they might keep his statutes and might seek after his law. Psalm 105. Alleluia. O give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endureth forever. Who shall tell of the mighty acts of the Lord? Who shall make all his praises to be heard? Blessed are they that keep judgment and do righteousness at all times. Remember us, O Lord, in thy favor for thy people. Visit us with thy salvation, that we may see it in the goodness of thy chosen, that we may be glad in the gladness of thy nation, that we may glory with thine inheritance. We have sinned with our fathers, we have done iniquity, we have done unrighteousness. Our fathers in Egypt understood not thy wonders, and they remembered not the multitude of thy mercy. And they embittered thee as they went up by the Red Sea. And he saved them for his name's sake, that he might make known his mighty power. And he rebuked the Red Sea, and it was dried up, and he led them into the deep as in a wilderness. And he saved them from the hand of him that hated them, and redeemed them from the hand of enemies. The waters covered their oppressors, not one of them was left. And they believed his word, and they sang his praise. They made haste, they forgot his works, they awaited not his counsel. And they desired a desire in the wilderness, and made trial of God in the waterless place. And he gave them their request, and sent forth fullness into their souls. And they provoked Moses in the camp, and Aaron the Holy One of the Lord. The earth opened and swallowed up Dathan, and covered over the congregation of Abiram. And a fire was kindled in their congregation, a flame burned up the sinners. And they made a calf in Horeb, and they worshipped the graven thing. And they changed his glory into the likeness of a calf that eateth grass. And they forgot God who had saved them, who had done great things in Egypt, wonders in the land of Ham, terrible things at the Red Sea. And he said that he would destroy them, had not Moses his chosen stood in the breach before him, to turn away his wrath, lest he should destroy them. And they set it not the desirable land, they believed not his word. And they murmured in their tents, they hearkened not unto the voice of the Lord. And he lifted up his hand against them, to cast them down in the wilderness, to cast down their seed among the nations, and to scatter them in the lands. And they were made initiates of Baal-Fegar, and ate the sacrifices of the dead. And they provoked him with their inventions, and destruction was multiplied among them. And Phinehas stood up and made appeasement, and the plague was abated. And it was counted unto him for righteousness, unto generation and generation forevermore. And they provoked him at the water of gainsaying, and Moses suffered hurt for their sakes, for they embittered his spirit, and he gave judgment with his lips. They did not destroy the heathen, concerning which the Lord had spoken to them. They mingled among the nations and learned their works, and they served their graven things, and it became for them a stumbling block. And they sacrificed their sons and their daughters unto demons. And they poured out innocent blood, the blood of their sons and daughters, whom they sacrificed to the graven things of Canaan. And the land was befouled with the blood of murder, and it was defiled with their works, and they went a-whoring with their own inventions. And with anger was the Lord wroth against his people, and he abhorred his inheritance. And he gave them into the hands of enemies, and they that hated them were lords over them. And their enemies afflicted them, and they were humbled under their hands. Many times he delivered them, but they embittered him with their counsel, and they were humbled in their iniquities. And the Lord saw when they were in affliction, when he hearkened unto their supplication. And he remembered his covenant, and repented according to the multitude of his mercy. And he caused them to be pitied in the sight of all that had taken them captive. Save us, O Lord our God, and gather us from among the nations, that we may confess thy holy name, that we may glory in thy praise. Blessed is the Lord God of Israel, from everlasting to everlasting. And all the people shall say, So be it. So be it. Psalm 106. Alleluia. O give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endureth forever. So let them say that have been redeemed by the Lord, whom he hath redeemed from the hand of the enemy. From the lands hath he gathered them, from the east, from the west, from the north, and from the sea. They wandered in the wilderness, in a waterless land. They found not the path to a city of habitation. Hungering and thirsting, their soul within them fainted. And they cried unto the Lord in their affliction, and out of their distresses he delivered them. And he guided them into the right way, that they might go to a city for habitation. Let them give thanks unto the Lord for his mercies, and for his wondrous works for the sons of men. For he satisfied the empty soul, and the hungry soul hath he filled with good things. As for them that sit in darkness and the shadow of death, fettered with beggary and iron, because they were embittered against the sayings of God, and provoked the counsel of the Most High. Yea, with labors was their heart brought low, they waxed feeble, and there was none to help. And they cried unto the Lord in their affliction, and out of their distresses he saved them. And he brought them out of darkness and the shadow of death, and their bonds he brake asunder. Let them give thanks unto the Lord for his mercies, and for his wondrous works for the sons of men. For he shattered the gates of brass, and brake the bars of iron. He helped them out of the way of their lawlessness, for on account of their iniquities had they been brought low. All food did their soul abhor, and they drew nigh even unto the gates of death. And they cried unto the Lord in their affliction, and out of their distresses he saved them. He sent forth his word, and he healed them, and he delivered them from their corruption. Let them give thanks unto the Lord for his mercies, and for his wondrous works for the sons of men. And let them sacrifice to him a sacrifice of praise, and let them proclaim his works with rejoicing. They that go down to the sea in ships, doing their work in many waters. These have seen the works of the Lord, and his wonders in the deep. He spake, and a wind of tempest arose, and the waves thereof were lifted up. They mount as high as the heavens, and they go down into the abysses. Their soul was melted with evils. They were troubled, and they reeled like one drunken, and all their wisdom was swallowed up. And they cried unto the Lord in their affliction, and out of their distresses he brought them. And he commanded the tempest, and it was calmed into a breeze, and the waves thereof fell silent. And they were glad, because they were quiet, and he guided them to the haven of his will. Let them give thanks unto the Lord for his mercies, and for his wondrous works for the sons of men. Let them exalt him in the assembly of the people, and in the seat of the elders let them praise him. He turned rivers into a wilderness, and the coursings of waters into a thirsting land. A fruitful land into saltiness, for the wickedness of them that dwell therein. He turned a wilderness into pools of waters, and a parched land into streams of water. And he made the hungry to dwell therein, and they established cities for habitation. And they sowed field and planted vineyards, and they made fruits of increase. And he blessed them, and they were multiplied greatly, and he diminished not the number of their cattle. And again they became few, and were brought low by affliction, evils, and sorrows. Contempt was poured out upon their princes, and he caused them to wander in a land untrodden, where there is no way. And he helped the poor man out of his poverty, and made his kindred like a flock. The upright shall see it, and shall be glad, and all iniquity shall stop its mouth. Who is wise and will keep these things, and will understand the mercies of the Lord? Psalm 113. Alleluia. When Israel went out of Egypt, and the house of Jacob from among a barbarous people. Judea became his sanctuary, Israel his dominion. The sea beheld and fled, Jordan turned back. The mountains skipped like rams, and the hills like lambs of flocks. What aileth thee, O sea, that thou fleddest? And thou Jordan, that thou didst turn back? Ye mountains, that ye skipped like rams, and you hills like lambs of flocks? At the presence of the Lord the earth was shaken, at the presence of the God of Jacob, who turneth the rock into pools of waters, and the precipice into fountains of waters. Not unto us, O Lord, not unto us, but unto thy name give glory, for thy mercy and thy truth. Lest haply the heathen say, Where is their God? But our God is in heaven and on earth. All things soever he hath willed, he hath done. The idols of the nations are of silver and gold, the works of the hands of men. They have a mouth, but shall not speak. Eyes have they, and shall not see. Ears have they, and shall not hear. Noses have they, and shall not smell. Hands they have, and shall not feel. Feet have they, and shall not walk. They shall make no sound in their throat. Let those that make them become like unto them, and all that put their trust in them. The house of Israel hath hoped in the Lord, their helper and defender is he. The house of Aaron hath hoped in the Lord, their helper and defender is he. They that fear the Lord have hoped in the Lord, their helper and defender is he. The Lord being mindful of us, hath blessed us. He hath blessed the house of Israel, he hath blessed the house of Aaron. He hath blessed them that fear the Lord, the little with the great. The Lord grant you increase, to you and to your children. Ye are blessed of the Lord, who made heaven and the earth. The heaven of heaven belongeth to the Lord, but the earth he gave unto the sons of men. Not the dead shall praise thee, O Lord, nor any that go down to Hades. But we the living will bless the Lord from henceforth and forevermore.